It's Good Friday, and today I am at the church in the Memorial Garden because it seemed fitting to be someplace that was familiar to us on this day. Stories in the garden are woven throughout Scripture in the Bible, beginning at the very beginning with the Garden of Eden. The garden is a place where life is teeming, where there are plants and foliage, insects and critters, flowers, animals, water, and soil. It is a place of life, but the garden is also a place of death. Nothing lives forever, not even in the garden. Plants drop their leaves and wither. Flowers fade and insects and animals reach their end. As the season turns, the garden dies. It hibernates until it lives again. The garden is also the place that held Jesus as he wept during his last hours. In the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus grieved. His emotions came up out of his human body, and he asked God to make it different, to provide a different way, to save him from death. As I stand here in our garden, I am aware that I am surrounded by the souls and the memories of many loved ones who have died in years past, ashes buried here in this sacred ground. This place, our memorial garden, is both the Garden of Eden and the Garden of Gethsemane. It is teeming with life, and it holds death. It is full of the joy of God's creation, and it contains the sadness of loss. But what I do know, above all else, is that this place is God's place. And when I am here, in this garden, I am with God, and I am comforted. I recently purchased a concrete bench in memory of my brother Rick, and we placed this bench in my parents' backyard, the family home. And Rick's ashes are not there, but his bench is there, and every time I sit on it, I feel his spirit. I feel the presence of my brother Rick, but I don't feel just his presence. It's not his presence alone, but I also feel the presence of God. Rick and God together, feeling them on that bench. You see, this is what it means to have a memorial, a space or a spot for remembering. We draw that person's spirit to us, and we open a window for us to peer beyond the tangible and into the mysterious. We create a place where our hearts and our spirits are open to God. Jesus leaves the garden, but he carries the experience with him. He is soon arrested, he's abused and tormented, he's made to carry his cross up a hill to where he will be crucified. He is put on the cross. His feet and his hands are hammered into the wood, and that cross is lifted up. And as the cross is raised towards the sky, our eyes are raised towards Jesus. And we sit at the foot of the cross and we gaze at the face of love and at the presence of the living God who is still with us, never leaving us, just as we have never left him. In the account of the crucifixion given by John, we are told that near the cross was Jesus' mother and Jesus' mother's sister, and Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary Magdalene, and also there was the disciple whom Jesus loved. And Jesus, in the hour of his death, in the darkness of this day, is not alone. He is surrounded by love. Jan Richardson, who is a Methodist minister, a poet, an artist, and a writer, she penned a prayer that speaks to this day. The prayer is called What Abides? And in it she talks about the blessing of this day, that we will know this blessing because the blessing does not stay still. It moves from one person to another, and we can see it. We can see this blessing in the tears that run down the face of Jesus' mother. And we can see this blessing in the way that the women stand as they watch him. We see it in the expression on the face of his friends, and we see it in the wounds on Jesus' body, in the anguished cry, and in the final breath. We see this blessing because the real blessing is not any of these alone, but it is what ties them all together, what ties us all together, this shared experience, this blessing abiding in the space between us, making us one body as we witness the crucifixion of Jesus' body. From the garden to the cross, we are united, united to one another and united to Jesus Christ, the one who does not turn from the hardship, but moves towards it, the one who knows suffering and pain, the one who died to show us the way to true and everlasting life. Today is a somber day, and it requires nothing from us but to be present to the day, to remember this day's meaning, and to be aware of our connection to one another and our connection to Jesus Christ, and to wait in silence. It is said that God's first language is silence. God's mother tongue, so to speak, is silence. And so let us hear that language today. May this day be filled with a profound grace and the presence of God. And may you know the mystery of the cross. And may you cast your eyes towards the tomb, knowing that it will soon be empty. Amen.